Hey guys, it's time for another video in the Bash programming series. We've covered the very basics so far, and this will be the last video where we're working in the shell primarily. After this, we're going to be actually scripting and putting together a larger program in a file. So saving it as a text file and then running it. But this will be the last video where we're using purely the shell environment to build and test, I guess you could say, what we're working on. Now in the future we will continue to use the shell. It's the perfect REPL or read eval print loop. So as you're putting together a larger bash program, you will typically be trying every command in the shell to make sure that it is doing what you want to get sort of instant feedback that'll help you write a bug-free program faster. Okay, that being said, we're going to cover two more things that we need before diving into writing actual programs in a script, and that is variables and quoting. Okay, it's taken me a minute to say it, but there it is. Variables and quoting. These two things, none of it's complicated. If you've watched the sort of Ruby prep intro to programming video series that I made, then variables aren't going to be a problem. A variable is just a way of holding on to or referencing a value that you can then refer to later. So for example, the shell actually already sets some variables for us. So if we're all familiar with echo, like echo hello, we can also echo a variable. And the way variables look in Bash is they're prefixed with a $sign when you call them. So $sign and then variable name. Now, there's nothing called variable name, so you get empty. But there are some variables. So for example, your shell environment will generally set some kind of home directory. And you'll notice it's in all caps. It's not because variables have to be in all caps. It's just a convention to put environment variables, so things that are sort of outside of the program, in all caps so that you know that these are probably constants that you should not mess with. If I echo that out, you can see this is set to /home/Dave. Now that's lovely, and the mistake you'll make a lot of the time is that you'll simply type this in without saying echo first. And what happens is Bash will just try to execute that as a command, as if I typed in home Dave. Same idea, right? So a variable is really just something that points to a value, something that references a value. Very simple idea. So how do you set one? Well, you call one with $sign and then variable name. To set one, you simply use an equal sign without any spaces around it. So we can say myvar equals, this is so wonderful, and it is. What a lot of people do is they leave spaces around this, and then what happens is, well, tell me what happens. Think right now. What happens if I type this in? Okay, well, what happens is the shell is really just looking for the first thing that has a space after it and then tries to interpret that as the first command. So it's going to look for the myvar command and then pass this equal sign as an argument and then this string here as an argument. It's just not going to work. Not happening, right? So you can see it actually took a little while because what it's doing is it's searching this directory, then it's searching everything else in my path, one after the other, all the directories that I've told it to search for binaries and programs in. We'll get to that. But basically, don't forget the space. So myvar, we've now set it, the first thing here. When we echo it back, we get the string that we gave it, which is, this is so wonderful. We can also say, let's say, some number, and we'll call that 6. We can echo. Hooray! Long story short, equal sign, no spaces around the equal sign. That's how you set variables. You'll notice generally when you're setting variables, and they're not environment variables, the convention is to use lowercase so that you sort of know, okay, these are safe to mess around with and use. They don't represent some external environment variable that I shouldn't be messing with or changing. If you've got more than one word, the convention is to use underscore separated words. This is just a convention. I mean, no one's going to hold you to it. It just makes things nice to read. And that's what people tend to be used to with Bash. Although there's a lot of terrible Bash scripts out there. So, you know, convention, it's good to know, good to do, but you probably will see a whole lot of stuff that doesn't stick to it. Okay, so this would be conventional, some number this way. Okay, beautiful. So those are variables, very simple. Now let's talk about quoting. So there's a couple ways of quoting characters in your scripts. If I want to just stick, let's say, the number 10 into a string, what I would do is say echo and start the string, and then just say my favorite number is, and then some number. Now this is lovely, right? How could this ever go wrong? It's just perfect. Well, the problem is when you want to immediately have some text after this, it starts to get a little weird, like this is my some number, okay, but then I want th, so my 10th beer. Well, this obviously isn't going to work, so some number doesn't evaluate to anything, so you just get a space where that would have been. So this is my nothing beer. Okay, well, I want to say this is my 10th beer. It's actually just my 9th, but well, the way you would delimit the variable is by saying curly quotes. Sorry, curly brackets. See, after 9 beers, I don't even know what I'm saying. Then this delimits the variable so that Bash and other readers know, oh, okay, so this is a variable inside these little brackets, and then after that it's just part of the string again. And there you go. This is my 10th beer. Now there's one more type of quoting I want to talk about, and that is command substitution. So what they'll do is, let's say, echo, there are, and I'm just going to put an X here, and we'll solve this in a second. So there are some number of lines in the etc group, or let's say the etc shadow file. We want to see how many users, what's going on with that. We've got this string. Well, how do we get the actual number of lines in etc shadow? Well, we could do word count lines, and as the input file, we'll take etc shadow. Pain, just pain. Let's say group. And a fortuitous number, 69, comes out. Wonderful. Okay, so this is the command for getting the number of lines and into a single number value. And what we'll do is we just need to get that into our string here. Well, the way we do that is with backticks or back quotes. So that is on an American layout keyboard, it's next to the number 1. It's the one to the left of that. So you make 2 of those, and that is a different kind of string. It's not a single quoted string, it's not a double quoted string. It is these back quotes. And so what happens is whatever you put in here is treated as a command, and the output of that command is substituted for this. So you'll see in a second what I mean. What do we want? etc group. So when I type this in, what happens is the interpreter is going to get here and it's going to say, oh, we've got a command that we're about to execute. And it reads all this in, and it sees the other quote and says, okay, the command ends here. Then it takes that command, it runs this, gets this number, substitutes the number in here, and then continues on printing the string. Let's see what that looks like. And there you go. There are 69 of lines. You know, is it really? I can't believe I didn't notice that until now. Okay, but there really are 69 of lines in the etc shadow file. So there you have it. That's variables, different ways to kind of isolate variables, make them readable, work with them inside of strings, and also backquotes and getting a command, the output of a command to be inserted into your string. Now you can also put this in a variable, so you can just say num lines equals, you know, word count L, you know what, we'll just say list our current directory, list our home directory, there we go, and then pipe it into word count and see how many things, how many non-hidden files and directories are in our home directory. And now we can say, you know, num lines. Lovely, there's 10 things. Well, if we actually list home, you can see, there you go. I'm trusting that that's 10. I trust Bash. So there you go. That is setting variables, command substitution in backquotes, and other kinds of quoting. Okay, I think we're ready to start writing some actual scripts. See you in the next video.